Good afternoon. It's raining lightly. You can't see it, so that means we're not in Florida or the Carolinas. It's a beautiful misty day in the 50s, and I'm wearing what I'm wearing to stay dry. It'd be comfortable entirely if it wasn't for the rain. So this is our very distant and slight sharing of wetness as compared to what's going on in Florida. Let's start with Florida and start with the Department of Justice. We know we have a Department of Justice that is unhappy with the situation, but doesn't seem to have quite the guts to nail it where it should be nailed. Let me explain. They've made a motion to expedite the consideration of what's going on with Judge Loose Cannon and the special master. They think it should be all brushed aside. I don't disagree with that. So what are they doing about it? Are they challenging Loose Cannon directly? No, they're trying to get an expedited appeal in the 11th Circuit. And they've laid out a proposed briefing schedule that would take it through December. And so it would take it with briefing and everything past the midterm elections. Now, we all probably know from discussions of linear algebra and programming and so forth, that if you have a situation, you have so many constraints on the outcome, and the question is, how do you achieve that outcome? So, if the outcome I want is a clean bill of health to run an investigation undeterred by the frivolous and baseless claims of a former criminal president who betrayed this country, well, you know, I think I can cut through the bullshit if I'm a fair and impartial judge when the only accusations made against the search and the actions of the government are made outside of the court, and the lower court judge, that is Loose Cannon, she doesn't think you need to know whether or not those things outside the courtroom are true or not. That's because Trump has the advantage of playing this case out of the courtroom and in the courtroom, and the Department of Justice said, I'm not going to be involved in that fight. That's just not right. Excuse the voice. Occasionally that happens to me. So what would I have them do? I'd have them move to recuse her. So she's going to deny it. The Court of Appeals isn't going to like it. And we make the point that this man, Trump, and the lawyers that are with him do not care about the truth, do not care about this nation, do not care that what happened on January the 6th could be repeated again in 100 or 1,000 different places because we do not enforce the law. And who's at the center of it? Judges. Judges who are supposed to be impartial and to be concerned about preserving and protecting the Constitution and the rights of individuals. Let me tell you from my experience as a defense counsel, no client, however good, however righteous I've ever represented, would get away with this nonsense. And we have the judge telling us that it's because he was the president she's giving him the special attention. She is actually invoking the notion that some people are really way above the law, and Trump is one of them. So, I would have moved to recuse her. At this date, yes. I'd ask the court immediately to dismiss the whole thing, that it's frivolous, and its objective is to delay the investigation, and as a stunt, to get past the midterm elections. The people should be informed of the facts. They should know what's going on. They should be considering this, because if this is a true democracy, this is important stuff. Okay, so that's one of the things that I think we should do. Now, DeSantis is an interesting case. Continuing, maybe make this a Florida-themed conversation. Now, DeSantis voted against Sandy, that is money during Sandy for New Jersey and New York, when even 100 people died up there. And now DeSantis, he wants $1 billion for Florida, where they have no income tax, where for what? The last 50 years they've done nothing about global warming. This man who's against Social Security, SSI, he's concerned about the senior citizens in the state. I don't think so. And we're not even talking about that. It's like we're going to pretend he's really doing well by his state. Is that fair to the voters? Now, one of the things that really upset me about, well, there are a lot of things that upset me about Florida. Obviously, I'm mentioning a couple of them. But I saw a picture on the cover of the Washington Post, and if I can find it, I'll put it up when I put up the talk. And it struck me that it was an example by connection to how our leaders conduct themselves, to how, say, DeSantis in specific and people like him are inhuman, and they treat people inhumanely. Now, there was a woman, and I think her family name was Drake, and her daughter Maddie, and they were walking across an area torn up by the storm. They each had one bag that they were taking, and they were walking their two dogs, presumably to safety. But the person I focused on was Maddie. She looks to me like a teenager, a young teenager, maybe not even yet a teenager. And it's hard to see in the picture, but I think she's wearing glasses, like my friends in grammar school. And this is a bias, I suppose, but they always seem to be good students. So I don't know if she's a good student. I don't know if she has a good soul. I don't know if she agrees about the projection that I'm putting on her. But I think whomever she may be or becoming, this incident has got to affect her in some way for the years of her life. Seeing as how the destruction is in that picture, I assume that her and her mom stayed there during the crisis of the storm. Storm still ripped up everything. They lived through that. I don't know if they're close. I don't know if I can imagine that they held each other close during the concerns of this terrible tragedy. I don't know how many waves came through there or what it took to destroy that property. But this young lady is going to live with that the rest of her life, in part because for 50 years we haven't done anything about global warming. Because since the last storm down there, we haven't taken precautions we could. Since we waited until the last several days to figure out this was a storm we had to be concerned about. And she may very well leave the state. Her mom may stay there. This is going to have an effect on their lives going forward, like maybe nothing else in her life, maybe no other personal tragedy. And politicians wring their hands what they're going to do, and they think $1 will take care of everything. But the dollars will be distributed in certain ways, favoring certain people under certain circumstances. And who knows if that couple, that is the mother and her daughter, will qualify. So we live in a nation in which we're fed false stories about what's going on. Material facts are withheld from us to affect our judgment in a way that distorts the results. There's the old expression, GIGO in information studies, that is garbage in, garbage out. So if we're not getting the good information at the front side, how do we expect our decisions to be any good? But you see, this is what happens. It's like the parable of the cave. We're looking at the shadows on the wall that they want us to see, they being the wealthy, we being the hoi polloi, and they thereby try to deny us the ability to discuss in the terms that advance a decision for the general public. And they decry anyone who runs against what is the accepted line. And so, maybe that young lady, Maddie, is studious, is alert. She obviously has some caring. They're taking their dogs which is a difficult thing to do. And you may remember from one of the last storms how people were anxious about taking care of their animals. So we have people who take care of animals, and we have leaders that don't give a damn about people or animals. So America's losing its way. It's losing its way in the fight for the democracy. It's losing its way in how we treat our people. It's losing our way in that we don't call out hypocrisy when DeSantis pretends to be helping his state, having not done a damn thing beforehand. Luke has this statement, supposedly Jesus cursing lawyers, because they put a burden on people and they lift not a finger to lighten the load. You know, DeSantis hates socialism, but he's demanding that the billions be paid his state, which has no income tax and has never done a damn thing about global warming, which he probably thinks is a widow's tale. So here I am out in the very light rain, and I'm in my cathedral of trees, which I always find rejuvenating, and I hope you do too. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.